How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Black Metal Rebellion. I'm your host, Jesse Morgan, and today we are going to be finally getting around to doing that Derelict EP review by Finite. Now, if you, for whatever reason, still don't know who Finite are, they are an excellent DSBM black metal band that started in 2015 from Vancouver, BC, aka Canada. And this is their 2018 release, Derelict. Like I said, it's just a 3-song EP. And let's get into who the members are, and then we'll talk about why I enjoyed this thing. First of all, the members include Noose, who does vocals, bass for the recording, and some lead guitar. Now on the rhythm guitar is a member named Lord Karen, and a very ironic and cleverly named drummer by the name of Cavernous. I'm just going to leave that there for you guys to kind of grin at. Now, as for the vocals in this were kind of, as you'd expect, some shrieky, kind of maniacal, raspy black metal vocals, as well as some kind of pained, agonizing sounding, like howl moments. There is also some kind of like movie clips and samples sprinkled on the ends or beginnings of these songs as well. There's even a moment where there's some kind of really just inhuman feral noises or noises that sound like some sort of tortured animal. For example, the beginning part of the Derelict track. Anyways, you can definitely tell that Noose went all out for this release and performed his vocalings really well. So kudos to Noose on that. As for the guitars, they had this like dark tone that didn't have too much distortion on it, just the right amount to give it that little oomph to it. You could find tremolos in this release. You could find some power chord style riffs. There's even some soulful, haunting cleans. There's also some really quick solo work. For example, the track Utterly Unmoved by the Mounting Dead. Fantastic song name, by the way. And there's also some good layering of guitarings too, like some dissonant kind of wall of sound moments as well. So really, really good stuff from the guitar section. So kudos Noose and kudos Lord Karen. All right, so moving on to the bass. The bass had an insane tone to it, high in the mix, almost the same level as the guitar. Very clangy and clunky feel to it. Quite heavy, actually, very punchy. Definitely a low rumble to the entire mix for sure. Had a very unique voice to it. It's definitely stood out, and maybe even kind of almost distracting at times due to how high in the mix it was or the levels. But either way, I was happy with what the bass was doing performance-wise and how it complemented the guitaring. Sorry. Moving on. The drums were, they had some good double kicks in them, excellent blast beats, decent use of tom work and fills, as you could probably expect from Cavernous. He works well when he's doing slow stuff and fast stuff, which is nice because I know a lot of drummers, they like to just blast away and do as fast as, drumming as possible. But when it comes to the slow parts, they kind of fall apart. The timing kind of falls apart, but definitely not Cavernous. He did well with, both ends of the spectrum. And he had also nice snare tone for this EP. The cymbals at points were a little wishy-washy though, like it would hit and it would kind of just sound like way in the background and splashy. But other points it was actually decent. So depending on where in the EP you are, that can kind of maybe happen with the drumming. Anywho, let's talk about my favorite track on here, that being Derelict. Derelict is definitely the most haunting, standout track. It's more like an experience rather than a song. It's got some great emotion and some great musical composition here. There's a few musical arcs within the track. It's a very long, like 10-minute or so track. You're definitely not prepared for this song. It's quite the experience, like I said, for sure. The other two tracks were like good black metal DSBM songs, but then Derelict hits, and then you're like, whoa. So yeah, Derelict is definitely the standout track for me in this. As for my overall thoughts on the whole EP, they've definitely come a long way from the Void Cult Conspiracy split. It's almost sounds like a completely new band. Derelict, though, this EP is basically like a snuff film or a horror film in audio form. Finite wants to show you the underbelly of society, the hate, the dread, the addiction, sorrow. It shoves the gritty, dark side of humanity right in your face. And then when you think you can't take anymore, then they start with the waterboarding, and you just get drenched in this emotion and weightiness of the whole EP. Derelict definitely leaves no grave unturned and no vein untapped. Finite really drives past like hopelessness and goes straight into utter despair and misery. You will not leave this EP unafflicted or undamaged in one way or the other. This is a fantastic and unapologetic, and I'm horrified for what's coming next from Finite. Definitely some great stuff here. Very haunting, very dark, very dismal. Definitely makes you feel uneasy and uncomfortable. But it's just like some of the greatest DSBM and black metal you could hear for 2018 for sure. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10, and the only reason being is because there's a little less groovy kind of moments in this release. They focus more on emotion and kind of the atmosphere and feeling you get. The bass also, like I said previously, is a little bit too high at times, and a little distracting from what else is going on. And once again, though, like the bass performance itself was really good. He's clearly talented on the bass. And this EP seemed maybe even slightly too clean of a production, considering it could have been more gritty and a little lo-fi, when you kind of take in what kind of release this is and the content there within. So yeah, it's a slight downstep from the Rancid Waters of Existence, but not really that big of one. It's still a fantastic, piece of material here. Once again, I like more groovy riffs, and I definitely felt like it could have been a little bit more gritty production, considering how dark and ominous and creepy this fucking EP is. But nonetheless, 9 out of 10, still a great rating. Shit doesn't have to be 0 or 10 these days. There can be a nice gray shade. I highly recommend checking this out, and I did buy this EP. So highly recommend Derelict by Finite from Vancouver, BC. Amazing DSBM black metal band from Canada. I hope you check them out. For Glory, for the Rebellion, Slamrilla out.